What's up, Mafia? The preseason has just kicked off and the Eagles just suffered a brutal loss. And somehow, that's not even the most concerning part of the entire evening. Because it wasn't about the score, it's about what the score was hiding. The guys who showed you something, and the guys who showed you nothing at all. And we're getting into all of it, so let's get it mixing. Let's start where this whole night actually got interesting. The Eagles lost 24-7, and if you're only looking at the score, you're gonna miss the real story. Andy Dalton opened the night under center, and it did not go well for him. 3 completions on 6 attempts, 20 yards, and the guys blocking for him could not hold the line up front. He got pulled after a few series and Tanner McKee stepped in behind him. Tanner McKee moved the ball a little better, 6 of 10 for 35 yards. But a holding penalty killed one of his better drives, and his offense just never found any rhythm with one of them under center. 2 quarterbacks who actually started in real NFL games, and neither one of them separated themselves on Saturday night, which tells you that this backup battle is nowhere close to being decided. Then Cole Payton walks in during the 4th quarter, a 5th-round rookie who played his college ball at North Dakota State. And he was the best quarterback on the field for the Eagles, and honestly, it wasn't even close. 3 carries for 45 yards, including a 17-yard scramble on 4th and 3 just to keep that drive alive. He led the team in rushing, and he led the team in passing. And with 3 minutes on the clock, he found Eric E. for a 6-yard touchdown on a play that had already been broken down before he made something happen out of nothing. Those were the only points the offense put up on the board all night, and it came from a guy that nobody was supposed to be watching. Think about that for just 1 second. The 2 veteran quarterbacks in this room combined for 9 completions and 55 yards between the both of them. The rookie by himself outgained them both on the ground alone. To me, that's a red flag and a bit of a concern. That's the type of performance that forces the coaching staff to at least think twice before thinking about who they sit behind Jalen Hurts. And whatever you think about preseason stats, 3 carries and 45 yards from a 5th-round rookie against somebody else's backups, that's still real tape. It goes in the same file as everything that Andy Dalton and Tanner McKee put on film Saturday night, whether the coaching staff wants to admit it yet or not. But I want to hear from you and what you think about this backup quarterback situation, and should we be concerned with what we've seen, because from where I'm sitting, this competition just got cracked wide open. But this quarterback story isn't the only thing that got exposed on Saturday night. The offensive line gave us 2 different stories out there, and neither one of them can be ignored. Up front, there's a name that we have to keep an eye on going forward, and that has to be Willie Lampkin. He played center and guard in the same game and held up on both spots. He got out to the second level, chased down linebackers, and in pass protection against bigger bodies, he did not get pushed around once. And for a guy his size, trying to make this roster, that was a huge night for Willie Lampkin. And lined up next to him for a stretch was Markel Bell, the 3rd-round rookie tackle. He looked massive amongst all the other linemen, and he didn't give up a single pressure the whole game. He was moving grown men off the ball in the run game too. Put those 2 guys next to each other, and now you've got a real argument for the offensive line depth that this roster didn't have a year ago. And then you have Will Shipley, 6 carries, 25 yards, and he ran angry like the rent was due every time that man touched the ball. Yeah, the box score got a little ugly with a 2-yard loss late in the game, but the tape tells a better story than the final line actually does. With some of the other running backs banged up right now, Will Shipley put something out on film that could actually matter when this roster gets trimmed down. So offensively, outside of Cole Payton, this story isn't about the quarterbacks at all. It's about these 3 guys doing their job on the ground while the passing game was stagnant for most of the game. And that means more than it looks like on paper, because this coaching staff has been searching for reliable depth up front for a couple of years now. One preseason game doesn't lock anybody in for a final roster spot, but it put the names on the radar that weren't there before kickoff. Before we continue, who are you more locked in on right now? Willie Lampkin or Markel Bell? And who has the most potential? Drop it in the comment section and let me know. Now, let's flip over to the other side of the ball, because the defense told 2 completely different stories depending on who was out there on the field. Let's talk linebacker, because this room is deep and it showed again on Saturday night. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. started next to Jahad Campbell, and both of them made plays all night long. Trotter finished with 5 tackles, 2 quarterback hits, and a sack. And he plays with an instinct level you flat out can't coach into somebody. Jahad Campbell is the starter, and everybody knows why. But Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is the legitimate NFL starter on plenty of other rosters. And that's the kind of depth that most teams would kill to have. We also got a Ty Robinson sighting, as he got himself a sack early. He's trying to lock down a spot on that interior line behind some pretty established names, and that's exactly the kind of tape he needed heading into preseason cuts. Show up, make a play, and remind everyone you belong in this conversation, and Ty Robinson did that on Saturday night. Now, here's where I need to be honest. Kelee Ringo's night started off a little bit rough. He gave up a touchdown and then picked up a pass interference play in the red zone right after that. I continue to say that I am not high on Kelee Ringo, and those are the very reasons why. He's undisciplined, and he forgets the basics. This is the same as last year's version of Kelee Ringo that had a lot of people ready to move on from him. But on the very next play, he comes right back and makes a diving interception right in the end zone. Full extension, holds onto it all the way through the ground. Now that right there, that's the kind of response that you want from a guy who's fighting to find a space on this roster. And that's the takeaway with Kelee Ringo. He's clearly not a finished product out there, but how he answers the bad moment says more than the touchdown and the flag ever could. My thing is, how long do we wait to actually develop him? When is enough going to be enough? And are we only keeping him around as a depth piece? And this is the part that actually worries me heading forward. The backup behind him got exposed for most of the fourth quarter. The Ravens put together well over 400 yards combined through the air and on the ground, and there was a stretch where the defense could not get off the field. If Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean misses any real time once the regular season starts, this depth concern in the secondary stops being a hypothetical, and it becomes a real problem fast. And it's the one thing from Saturday night that doesn't get better just because the starters come back. So, where does this actually leave us heading into the next preseason game? Because this team doesn't get much time to fix any of it. Next week is joint practices against the Patriots before preseason game 2, and that's going to be a real test for the Philadelphia Eagles. Different opponent, different looks, and a chance for some of these guys to build on what they showed Saturday, or prove that it was just a one-night thing. So, when you step back and look at the whole night, this was not a good performance for the Philadelphia Eagles. 24-7 doesn't lie, and an offense that couldn't find a rhythm for 3 quarters is a real concern with the regular season just a month out. But preseason football was never about the scoreboard. It's about what you learn. And what we learned from Saturday is that Cole Payton just gave his coaching staff a real hard decision to make. We learned that Willie Lampkins and Markel Bell might quietly be building the answer up to a problem this roster had dealt with for years. We learned that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is a starter somewhere in this league, even if it's not here. We learned that if the top of the secondary goes down, there isn't much cushion behind it right now. None of that gets settled in one preseason game, and no one's crowning anybody off of one Saturday night in August. But it all starts taking shape right here, one snap at a time, one roster decision at a time, and that's exactly what we're going to keep tracking as this thing plays out in real time. Now, if you're locked into this team the way that I am, hit that subscribe button, drop a like or a hype, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment telling me who stood out to you the most on Saturday night. And once again, I've been Brother Shy, and this has been the Midnight Green Mafia.